Additionally, NVIDIA has experienced drawdowns in the past, during which the stock has either consolidated or caught up to its recent gains before, of course, experiencing a parabolic surge. Do you believe that we are currently experiencing another one of these times when the stock is sort of consolidating before rising in response to the next significant catalyst? Yes, it is our opinion. We believe that the ultimate order flow might be in the tens of billions as more people look at the demand trajectory for the next 6 to 9 months, as well as the October quarter. We also look at what's happening with yields in black, because I'm not the kind to look at a name and think, oh, it's gone from X to Y. That's CR. You begin to examine a stock that I consider to be inexpensive. Instead, consider the numbers. You essentially had earnings power of $1.70, and now you will have $5 to $6. Therefore, it also depends on the numbers. Additionally, it's similar to assembling a puzzle. Observe what Jensen is discussing. Take a look at what the hyperscalers, Google, Amazon, and Nvidia are discussing. Take a look at the chip perspective, or semi-perspective. That is different from anything we have seen in the past 30 years here in Asia. Next, you examine the use cases for Oracle, ServiceNow, and Palantir. It's only the beginning. It's the start of $1 trillion in AI capital expenditures, but I'm not suggesting it's a straight line. Additionally, I would want to draw attention to one point that frequently comes up with institutional investors. Well, compare Nvidia's current chart with Cisco's chart from the late 1990s. It is comparable. Back then, I covered technology, and you did the same, Tom. Back then, 90% of Cisco's clients were essentially funded startups with faulty business models, upside-down arrangements. Many of the businesses didn't even exist. Who are today's buyers of this? Big tech has, like, over $1 trillion in cash on their balance sheets. Next, examine the situation from an enterprise standpoint, focusing on the sources of these funds. To put it simply, I don't think you can just throw up a chart. I get the story, but in terms of the T-bubble, this is a 95, call it 96, moment rather than a 99 one. That's a really good point, yo. That's important to note since, as you may recall, Cisco wasn't selling chips for $100,000 to $120,000 either. They were selling equipment at a significantly cheaper cost per unit, don't you think? And consider the users, they vanished. Yes, and even if you look at the concentration risk, Nvidia, Microsoft, 44%, you'll see that Microsoft acts as a hyperscaler, acting as a middleman for the thousands of businesses that acquire the chips in the end. It's not Microsoft. That isn't really a concentration danger. It's like you're about to leave, and the DOJ, of course, you know what I mean. That's like exactly on time, like a crappy Netflix series or something. For example, even though it appears to have never happened, they receive a subpoena after that day. However, in terms of anxiety alone, we are currently in one of those states. When September arrives, you've mentioned wearing seatbelts, but I think hack will be considerably higher by December 31st than it is now. And for that reason, I believe that despite some anxieties about the macro, Fed, job numbers, or anything else you want to discuss, we are headed for highs. Yes. What do you think? By the way, where did the DOJ and Nvidia rumors originate? I saw in the press that, all of a sudden, an article or something like appeared. The irony is that even if they receive the subpoena, it doesn't matter, just back off. Next week, Google will go on trial against the DOJ. We're just in one of those moods, you know. There is a bullseye on big tech's back. The powerful have become more powerful. Isn't Nvidia a member of the same group as Google, Amazon, and Apple? I am aware that even if they receive a subpoena, they will still have to go through a process. Of course, the DOJ. But from an antitrust standpoint, that is a lengthy procedure, correct? Yes, I understand. Fantastic. Well, I might want to zoom out a bit farther and briefly discuss our webinar that we held 9 months ago. As your themes, you discussed a few topics that you truly like. It goes without saying that you enjoyed artificial intelligence, AI, and the software companies that worked with it, such as Palantir. Additionally, you found cybersecurity and its significance appealing. 9 months later, in September, I suppose, I would like to hear your thoughts on your most recent updates regarding significant themes and how they have evolved during that time. Yes, I believe that the themes are present. Furthermore, given the use cases, the demand has most likely increased considerably more than we anticipated. We didn't anticipate that the use cases would simply take off in a positive manner, as we are currently witnessing. I believe that the models have advanced to the point where businesses are now demonstrating not only their willingness to invest, but also their use cases in the fields of finance, energy, and healthcare. And that's the main thing. It's been the driving force behind the entire AI revolution. From the standpoint of general demand, we may have anticipated this in January or February. So I would say that we are currently about 6 months ahead of schedule. Names like Palantir and ServiceNow, in my opinion, are actually ones that have gained attention as a result of that acceleration. On the other hand, I believe that when you look at companies like Salesforce and others, you may see how AI was going to change software sales cycles, which is something we didn't expect badly. In my opinion, it will almost certainly interrupt sales cycles in the near future, despite being a major catalyst for the next 12 to 18 months. Yes, that makes sense. And I believe it relates to the reason I frequently discuss the origins of the internet. There will be times when we experience speed bumps. Individuals may overreact, either in a favorable or bad way. However, for that reason, this is my second journey to Asia in the past month. The AI revolution cannot be found in a spreadsheet. It is not located on the 154th level of a New York office skyscraper. It just depends on what we're seeing and demand, in my opinion. Additionally, I believe that the meetings you attend over the next 2 weeks will help you understand the wider demand. Yes, exactly. Additionally, CrowdStrike is one of the stocks that did surprise investors this year due to a mistake the company made. I'd be interested in your opinion. One thing though, it's amazing how many clients they were able to keep. However, I suppose you have opinions and convictions about CrowdStrike. Yes, historically, cybersecurity has been a black eye, and CrowdStrike is no exception. I believe George would agree, but it was a terrible software update that will likely be discussed for years to come, and I believe it will likely alter how software upgrades are conducted. It was terrible for CrowdStrike because of this. What's surprising, in my opinion, is that within a week of that incident, we were discussing with integrators and clients whether or not CIOs would be switching. How do sales cycles fare? Approximately 3% to 4% of sales cycles were interrupted. Take a look at CrowdStrike's quarter, which was far better than anyone could have predicted 2 or 3 months ago. Tell me if you require any further adjustments. Yes. That's a difficult task. First of all, I would never undervalue Dr. Lisa Su because, I think she's fantastic. Additionally, the revenue guide on the call was about 7.5 against 7.54, and they even stated that it was plus or minus 300. Therefore, it seems to me that sentiment was entering with the desire for a large number. The gaming, of course, was poor. However, I do believe that, when you consider the catch-up trade in general, Nvidia is also consuming itself by producing larger, faster GPUs like Blackwell. And when these large cloud service providers move from training to inference, will they suddenly require all that computing power? Therefore, I'm not entirely convinced about this catch-up trade since, by the time they catch up, would we still require all of these chips or GPUs? Therefore, I believe the market has noticed this. It's up 2% for the year, while Nvidia is up, 6? Well, we will demonstrate. I apologize for interrupting you when you're finishing your statement. Right now, we're attempting to compile the year-to-date stock-by-stock comparison of AMD's Nvidia. Please pardon me, but let's continue throwing up. Yes, I was merely suggesting that AMD be treated as a separate business. They engage in distinct activities. Although there is some overlap, Nvidia has a clear advantage over Blackwell's and GPUs in terms of AI spending. Simply put, it is what it is. Therefore, in my opinion, catch-up is not a mathematically sound strategy. There you have it. I'm not sure if that doesn't convey the story. What does Jason Snipe do? Without changing the length or meaning, this version corrects grammatical errors.